I've never seen anything like The Batman. The Batman is not a superhero movie. It transcends the genre in ways that I never thought were possible, but with a sound story, some brilliant casting choices, and the genius that is Matt Reeves, this is special. Today I want to examine why this film is so special and why I love it so damn much. On March 4th, 2022, The Batman was released in theaters, and ever since it was released, I haven't been able to get it out of my head. It's my most anticipated film of the year. Trailers had me thoroughly intrigued, and all of the hype surrounding this piece of filmmaking was at an all-time high for me. Of course, we all know how I feel about this film. It's a masterpiece, one of the best superhero movies of all time, and my favorite film of the year. But why? Today, I'm going to go in depth on every single thing that I love about this film, and why it continues to be a project I like to revisit. In order to truly convey why I love this movie so much, I'm going to have to break the video up into chapters. Now, I think the opening monologue / voiceover of this film is one of the best openings and introductions I've seen in quite some time. That's because it's introducing one of the most interesting characters, Gotham. The thing that stands out to me most about Gotham is that in this film, it is Gotham. Now, I love the Dark Knight trilogy as much as the next person, but the Dark Knight is in Chicago, and the Dark Knight Rises is in Pittsburgh. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. That's where they are. Gotham in this story is unrecognizable. Now, sure, we have some clear inspirations. Don't even get me started on Gotham Square Garden. But besides those few instances, this was a completely new city we had never explored before. I absolutely loved it. But Gotham and the Batman is so much more than just a backdrop to our story. It's a character in itself. The people, the places, they all play a part in the story and the formation of who Bruce Wayne is and becomes in the end. This is a story about corruption, greed, and the sins of the past. Many times we see those sins through the eyes of the people that it has affected the most. Without Gotham, this film doesn't work as well as it should. This film also doesn't work if our Batman doesn't work. I remember where I was when Robert Pattinson was cast in the titular role, and remember the harsh criticism that was received when it was announced. They really cast the Twilight guy as Batman? What a narrow-minded way of thinking. While Pattinson made his name in Twilight, he had taken part in various indie films, bringing out incredible performances. I mean, if you haven't seen some of these films, you need to go check them out. They're really good. So the Twilight guy has some acting chops. I was very excited to see what he could bring to the role. The thing I love most about this rendition of Bruce Wayne is the nomadic, reclusive nature of the character. We've seen the Playboy version of Bruce Wayne hundreds of times before. But a broken recluse? That's a new one. And a welcome one. This version of Batman is gritty, unforgiving, and most importantly, broken. He's a human who has scars that have yet to heal. And has nothing to lose. And in the end,
if I can't change things here, if I can't have an effect, I don't care what happens to me.
all he wants is to help his city, and he will do whatever is necessary to accomplish that. To him, that is his family's legacy. Are you getting superhero fatigue? I hate to say it, but I think I might be a little bit too. I love Marvel as much as the next person, but with projects dropping seemingly every day, sometimes the fatigue can set in. The Batman was a breath of fresh air from the simple fact that it's not a superhero movie. The Batman is a detective thriller that happens to have a famous superhero as the main protagonist. But in the end, if you look at our main characters, they're regular people. Bruce Wayne and Gordon are two of the world's greatest detectives. Selina Kyle is someone who's been treated poorly all her life and is looking to get what she deserves. Carmine Falcone is that standard mob boss, and the Riddler is a domestic terrorist, angry with society and using the power of the internet and social media to spread his word. These are people that we see. They are real people. And that is something that is so scary about this film, but so real about this film. Sure, there are some cool gadgets, a sweet car chase, but in the end, this is a human story. It's about corruption, justice, and the idea of a legacy. A detective thriller that took inspiration from the best in the genre like Seven. The Batman breaks the mold and ends the superhero fatigue just for a moment. I think a lot of the success of this film has to do with the fearless leader, Matt Reeves. Now, there was never a doubt for me when he was announced as the director. His resume spoke for itself, but there was a moment for me that really spoke wonders. The first time Matt Reeves spoke at the original DC Fandom in 2020, I was instantly sold. You could tell that not only he knew what he was talking about, but when it came to the character of Batman, you could tell that the passion was absolutely there. Why would you want anyone else directing a movie if they're not passionate about it? This is a technical masterpiece. I've covered this before. A true film that needs to be seen, but more importantly, experienced. Everything from the sound and the editing to the costume design and set design is absolutely perfect. Every single thing about this film is so particularly done and precisely planned, and that's all credit to Reeves having a clear vision of a story that he wanted to tell and executing it. That vision is the thing that I love about this film. We covered it a bit in the chapter above, but Reeves is the first director to fully embrace the dark, gritty nature of Batman in the films. This is a full detective story that it does not pull any punches, and it focuses more on the brokenness of the city instead of a big bad villain and cool gadgets. The film feels real, and that's what Reeves is going for. The other thing I love about Reeves' direction is that he didn't just take inspiration from the comics, but he took inspiration from cinema itself. If you know where to look, this is a love letter to the medium of film, and it's done perfectly. I, for one, can't wait to get back into the universe that Reeves has created. The sequence that everyone is talking about in this film is, of course, the car chase in the middle of the film. It's masterful in every sense of the word, and I'd be lying if I said it wasn't my favorite part of the film, too. The moment when the Batmobile is first introduced is one of my favorite moments I've ever seen in film. Yeah, I know, a little dramatic, but it's true. We'll never forget my first time seeing that moment in IMAX. The sound, the visuals, the tension, it's all perfect. I got goosebumps the first time that the Batmobile was revealed. Just incredible. This is how a car chase should be. You have a predator and the prey. It's brutally obvious by how the chase is filmed. And this is one of the things I really, really love about how this film is shot, and this scene in particular. When you're from the perspective of the Penguin, you are always looking over your shoulder. You are always looking towards behind in the back of the car. The camera is always positioned to look behind you. When you are from the perspective of Batman, the camera is always positioned full steam ahead. It may be subtle, but it makes the chase all more thrilling, and it adds just that much more tension that you need to make it truly effective. Everything works here. The camera work, stunt choreography, all the way to the score. All aspects complement each other perfectly. This is yet another reason why Reeves is so damn good and why his vision is perfect. The other thing I love in this sequence is the fact that it was done practically. I covered this in my last video, but the reason why practical is better is because it's real. The sequence looks real because it is. You cannot replicate the little details on a green screen. In a 3-hour film revolving around Batman, you cannot just rely on exposition and narrative to move the film forward. There has to be some thrills. Like it or not, it's a Batman movie. And this chase scene is one of the best, and it is very well worth being in this film. The last thing I want to cover here is the arc of our main protagonist, Bruce Wayne. I know we see Batman in this film upwards of 75% of the runtime, but this film is an exploration of Wayne and his motivations. At the beginning of the film, we are greeted with Batman beating up thugs and muttering the now famous line, "I'm vengeance." We are then thrust into a story that explores the motivations of Bruce Wayne and the mentality around wearing the mask. When you look at the overall through line of the story, there are 2 moments at the end of the film that are incredibly important to the evolution of the Caped Crusader. The first is the conversation between Bruce and the Riddler. This conversation opens a lot of doors for the audience and brings a lot of very hard truths to our main character. All everyone wants to do is unmask you, but they're missing the point. You and I both know I'm looking at the real you right now. Bruce is scarred, still living in grief for what happened during his childhood. Feels that the only way he can carry out the legacy of his family is to fix the city. But what does it mean to fix the city? Bruce is filled with rage and will do anything to find vengeance. He believes that that is the only way to fulfill his mission. The realization in this conversation to Bruce is that the Riddler was inspired by the acts of the Batman. the vengeance-inspired chaos. That's the theme of the second moment that I want to talk about in the final act, confronting the nameless follower. As the final battle comes to an end, Gordon confronts a Riddler follower and asks who he is, to which he responds,
"I'm vengeance."
This is a moment of clarity for Bruce. When talking to the Riddler, he brushes it off, saying this is due to Riddler being sick in the brain. But this is the second instance of inspiration for bad people. The vengeance has turned into violence and rage, and a change needs to be made. Throughout the film, Bruce realizes that vengeance is not what will change anything. Hope is the way to make real change. Most Batman movies stay around the same arc, but The Batman is a completely fresh take at that. In conclusion, The Batman is awesome. It takes everything you love about movies and it mixes it into a great story with fantastic casting and a vision from Matt Reeves that is truly top-notch. Not only is it my favorite film of the year, but it's one of my favorite superhero movies of all time. Every single thing about this project is just spotless. The attention to detail is thrilling, it has some of the best moments I've seen on screen, and it will continue to live in my mind for a very, very long time. And that is why I love The Batman. And here we are at the end of the video. I want to thank you all so much for watching this video today. This is one that I've wanted to make for a very, very long time. I really wanted to dive deep into The Batman and really convey why I love that film so much. And I think it is really a profound piece of filmmaking and something that will go down, I think, as a classic many, many years down the road, because this is not just your run-of-the-mill superhero movie that you know and love. This is a very deep, look at humanity and, a broken city and, what is the right way to go about, being a superhero when all you want to do is live behind the mask. And on top of that, it's brilliantly done and executed, and that is all thanks to Matt Reeves, who had a very clear vision and executed it to absolute perfection. I love this movie. You guys don't need me to tell you that. I had a review that I did on it, plus a longer spoiler review. You guys can go check those out if you want, but this movie is special, and it's one that I think deserves all the love that it's getting, and it will continue to be one of my favorite movies. I would border on saying of all time. I think it's just so profound to me how detailed and kind of spotless this film is when it comes to every aspect. I do have some issues with the writing at times, but I really can't that's kind of grasping for straws and getting really nitpicky. I really, really love everything about this film, and I think it is one of, if not the greatest superhero movie that's ever been made. There may be a few that I put above it just due to personal love and nostalgia, but I think The Batman, from a filmmaking standpoint, I think will stand the test of time and is absolutely fantastic. And I am so excited for the sequel, for the Penguin series, the Arkham series, and everything that's going to come in the near future. Let me know down below in the comments, what did you guys think of The Batman? It came out in March, it's June, but I still wanted to make this video because I really wanted to dive deeper and more into why I loved it so much. In my review, I got very technical and told you what was good about the movie and what was bad about the movie, but it transcends and it goes deeper than that for me. I truly love the movie, and I think there's a lot to appreciate and love about it. So go down below in the comments, let me know, what did you think about The Batman? Did you like it? Did you hate it? I would love to hear from you in the comments. And I also want to say thank you all so much for the support on the past videos. The Top Gun video at the time of recording this has surpassed 300 views, which is absolutely incredible. And I'm getting a lot of feedback from people that I look up to in this community that have been making video essays much longer than me, and have been doing it who have been doing it really, really well. So to all of you that have commented and given me really kind words, you know who you are. I really appreciate that. It means the world to have people like you who do what I'm just starting to do to a high level to complement the work. It makes it that much more satisfying for me. But that's pretty much it, guys. Thank you all so much for watching. I haven't said in a while to subscribe, so I'm going to say go hit that red button if you'd like. We got a lot more good content coming out in the future. But that's pretty much it. Thank you all so much for watching. Have a rest of your day, and we'll see you in the next video.